Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon. I am one of the Career Readiness Consultants with the Kent Intermediate School District, and I'm so happy to have Abigail Bennett with us today. She's an Assistant General Manager in the restaurant business at the beautiful restaurant called Madrid in town here. Welcome, Abigail.
Thank you for having me.
So this next 30 minutes, we're going to hear your career path and just kind of some of that behind the scoop information that young people can benefit from. They love to hear where you were when you were their age. So 16 or 17, Abigail, were you thinking you grew up to be in the restaurant business as a manager? Tell us about that early thinking.
No, I definitely didn't think I would be in this role that I'm in today. When I was 16, I was finishing my junior year of high school, and I got my first job at a restaurant. I began working in Holland, Michigan at Boatworks Waterfront Restaurant as a hostess. So I was in charge of seating the dining room, helping the servers by bringing menus to the guests, kind of creating the flow of the restaurant. So the hostess really creates the pace of the restaurant and make sure that servers don't get double sat, that they have time with each guest before they get their next table. So it was a very busy restaurant. They were right on Lake Makatawa, so very sought after in the summertime especially. And I moved my way up to the food runner. So then I was in charge of bringing the food from the kitchen to the table, ensuring that each guest got what they had ordered. And then I eventually moved into serving. So then I had my own section and my own tables and guests to take care of. I moved up in the 2 years that I was there to server. So I was a senior in high school serving tables. One of my vivid memories was I didn't go to my senior prom. I actually served a group of 15 of my fellow students, and I was serving their dinner for prom. And that was really fun. I got to be a part of the prom experience. I just decided not to go that year. I was really involved in working and I loved what I did. And then I moved on from Boatworks to Butch's Dry Dock, which is also downtown Holland, a little bit more fine dining. So I took the skills that I learned at Boatworks and applied them at Butch's and really got into wine and spirits. They had a really good program for that and a little bit finer dining atmosphere with more elevated culinary dishes. So I was able to challenge myself and kind of take that next step and learn a little bit more. And then I moved to Grand Rapids and to the Amway Grand Hotel that I'm working at today. And I got a role at in the same space that Madrid is today, the previous concept before we rebranded to Madrid this past year. I was working in the fine dining space there and as a server. And it was this past March that I applied. I applied several times for the management position. And upon applying, I think it was 3 times that I had to apply for the management position before I got that opportunity to become the assistant general manager at Madrid.
So you're just a wonderful example of how that first job was such a good fit for you that you just kept learning and growing and moving up the ranks, and it has led to your career today. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they did a lot of in-house training for you. Did they require along the way any outside formal education, or were they providing what you needed to learn about the hospitality business?
Well, I did continue my education after high school. I went to GRCC, and that gave me a lot of skills with, taking my English class and just kind of giving myself that polish to the education I had received in high school. A lot of our training at the different restaurants I worked at has been in-house. I didn't receive any formal hospitality training at a culinary school. I've been a part of many wine trainings and spirits trainings. I was a part of an espresso training. We learned how to kind of barista And yeah, I think all of my training has kind of been in-house, which is really unique.
Yeah, I have some personal friends who have really become professionals in the hospitality industry with some of that in-house training, and it's quite prestigious, like you say, when you start getting into the upper levels of different wines and spirits. Certain certifications, right, that you can earn for your resume. Do you have? Has that been something you've actually gotten certifications? Has that helped get you to where you are as this assistant manager?
I haven't gone after a sommelier degree, which is a professional like wine certification. But I do have a lot of basic knowledge that I could probably apply myself to get that certification in the near future. That hasn't been something that I have, but you learn a lot of those just working around wine. And I've worked alongside a lot of sommeliers. So Madrid has a sommelier that works at the company, and he provides a wealth of knowledge to us. We do wine trainings with the team, and I'm a part of them as well. There's always room to learn.
So I've been in career development for 20 some years, and I just learned what a sommelier was like 2 years ago when a friend that I have was going through the training. So for all you folks on this call today, hopefully you learned something new today. I love it. So when you think about those early years of your career, Abigail, what do you think what about it was such a good fit for you? Why do you think hospitality is something you want to stay in?
I think early on, I really enjoyed the fast-paced, the hustle and bustle of the restaurant industry, that you're constantly moving. There's always something to do, even in the downtimes, the lulls of the dinner service. There's always something to do to be prepared for the next guest that's going to walk in the door. So I love staying busy, kind of a busybody. And then just the fact that every day is really different. You never know who you're going to meet. Each experience with every guest that you meet is very unique, and you get to kind of curate that that experience for the guests that they are almost entering your home or your realm, and you get to execute what kind of evening they're going to have, or lunch.
Yeah, I think that's something I've heard from other people in this industry, is that you get to really help make an experience that's memorable for them. You're part of happy occasions, or when people are visiting town, for example. When you think about some of your history up to this point, what's maybe one story that you'd like young people to hear about? It's like, man, that was such a great day in the hospitality industry. Do we have a customer story or experience that yourself that you thought that was awesome?
I would say I really enjoy fine dining, or the private dining. So guests will often buy out a whole space for a special occasion, whether it's a birthday or a graduation. And it's just a little bit more intimate because they are in this private space, and you're really just curating that, almost like a warm Thanksgiving meal with their family. Or so I've really enjoyed those special occasions in private dining rooms, where you're kind of the star of the show, but like you're seen but not heard, and you're just kind of letting them enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I have had experience where someone was doing that for our family, and I just have such a special place in my heart for her, because she just really made the evening so special by handling every need that we have. So I just love that, Abigail. Why don't you help young people who are watching this that are considering maybe hospitality understand what a typical day for you is as an assistant general manager? Help us understand what your day is like.
Yeah. So my typical day, I would enter the restaurant and kind of get the floor ready. By that, I mean the dining room. We, where I work, we have reservations, and it's kind of like a big puzzle. You have to make all the reservations fit, and you anticipate when the guest is going to leave so that you can account for the next reservation. So I will kind of set the server section. So each server in our restaurant has about 3 to 4 tables, and you kind of map out how the evening is going to go. And then you also are taking into account special guest requests. Some guests are requesting a view or a certain server. A lot of our servers are requested by name, and we try to make all of the guest requests happen. And then we're also looking at certain VIPs, accounting for if somebody is coming in that we want to make sure that the whole staff knows this person is going to be in tonight. It's maybe the mayor or whatnot. And then after that, I make sure that the host team has what they need. So I'm printing menus for the evening, making sure that the servers have what they need. We are making sure that they have all of their linen for the napkin folds. And then I'm walking the floor, making sure that every detail in our space looks immaculate, that there aren't any crumbs on the table, any smudges. And then we're gonna do a pre-shift. So before the shift starts and our guests enter the restaurant, we have a big team meeting with everyone in the restaurant, and we just kind of prepare them and go through how our night's gonna go, motivate them. We might do a little bit of spieling where the servers try to sell us a certain item on our menu, whether it be wine or one of our tapas or desserts, and just kind of get them ready to sell and be excited about what we have to offer to our guests. Then there's every day is kind of different. I check our social media platforms. So we have a scheduler that does our posts for Instagram and Facebook. And I'm just kind of looking through that, making sure I like what's coming up. Our marketing team, luckily we have them, they do a great job marketing our restaurant, but I'm just kind of double checking it, fine tuning it, making sure that on the restaurant side of it, that it fits our brand. And then just checking emails. There's a lot of emails, and then I'm checking the time clocks as well, making sure that our my employees are being paid accordingly to what they're doing, whether they're punching in and out. A lot of times they forget to punch in or punch out, and then yeah, just kind of, and then I'm on the floor. So during service, I'm walking around, interacting with the guests, interacting with the chefs and the bartenders and the servers, making sure that everything's just smooth and operating seamlessly.
So it sounds like what you probably enjoy about your job so much is that wide variety of things, and that things are changing every night. And so there's obviously a certain personality that does well with your type of work. Why don't you give us a few other traits besides being able to handle a lot of details that you think might make a hospitality person who could, as a young person, even move up the ranks or do a job like yours?
Yeah, I think definitely have to be really hardworking and driven. There's some difficult situations in hospitality. You don't always, you have to be able to turn things around when a guest is upset or things aren't going, it's a performance almost. You're kind of the theatrics of their dinner experience, and just kind of, if the dish is taking too long in the kitchen, you're just showing face to the table, trying to smooth things over and make sure they have everything they need for that dish to come out. So I'd say you have to be hardworking. You have to be, I think friendliness is the most important thing in hospitality. If you're friendly, everything's going to go well. You have to be friendly to your teammates, to the guests that are coming in, and then competence. You have to be competent in bringing the guests what they need and making sure that that you're executing well.
Yeah, I think those are really great qualities, like you were just saying, even just the friendliness and theatrics. I love that you stated that point, because for those of us who've been to restaurants, when your food is taking a long time, when your server never comes back to communicate with you, that's when I personally get very frustrated. But if someone keeps coming, checking with me, making sure my drinks are full and smoothing it over, it just, like you say, can make it a real positive experience or a really negative one. So it sounds like some of that, you obviously probably have pretty experienced wait staff that are at your restaurant. Is that something they come to you are ready to go?
Absolutely. I'd say all of our wait staff is, this is the top of their career, that they are career servers. So they've worked their way up to get to this point. So we do have to train them as well, but a lot of what the knowledge that they come to us is already there. So.
Yeah, so obviously, a lot of us have eaten at restaurants. Not everyone's eaten at fancy restaurants. That's probably, still a couple handfuls on my life. Such a beautiful experience when I think about my honeymoon at the top of the John Hancock building and, the service, that was just amazing. What would you like to share around some of the myths of your kind of work, what people think that your work is versus what it really is?
I think that I'd say that hospitality is, maybe people think that you have to be, I don't know, this is a hard one.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, theatrics is kind of one of those things that maybe some of us wouldn't even think about. That's really part of your job. But the selling side too, like, yeah, that's interesting to me.
Yes, yeah. So the servers, they really have to create their wages themselves. They're working off of gratuity. So what they sell is what they bring home. So it can be difficult to not know what you're going to make every night. I've been there myself, but it's kind of really motivating to be able to create your own wage for yourself by creating that experience for the guest. I think people think that maybe hospitality is easy, like, oh, you just work in a restaurant, or, oh, it's just a hotel. But it can be very difficult at times. You're giving a lot of your energy and a lot of your care to these people, and the guests really are in need of that, especially in today's world where we're always plugged into our computers or our iPhones, and guests are really looking to unplug when they come into a dining experience. They're looking to connect with somebody. So you really have to, you're almost like their therapist in a way. You're listening to their problems, you're empathizing with them, and then you're making everything better by making their experience with their meal or helping them celebrate a big occasion like their birthday or the purchase of a new home or their first night out since having a new baby. So it's not always easy, but it's really, really rewarding. And you really get to connect with everyone that you meet.
Yeah, I love that you shared that some of your servers are requested by the customer. Is that because they're just so good at that ability to connect and make those people feel special? I mean, anything more you want to say
Absolutely.
about that? That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's definitely every server, we encourage them not to be order takers or robots. They're encouraged to use their personalities to shine, because that's how they're going to connect with each guest, is to be different than the server next to them in a way. We want to keep everything consistent and execute on the same level of service across the board, but it's really each server's or bartender's ability to be themselves and use their personality to connect with the guest. That's what I think people are looking for when they go out.
I love sharing that. Thank you. In schools, Abigail, students are taught soft skills or life skills, things like collaboration or teamwork or problem solving. Do any of those resonate with you, or any of those other skills that you would like to see schools working on with their young people so that when they get to you, they have certain things in place? Or why it's so important?
Absolutely. Teamwork is very important. Every server has their own section, but really the restaurant as a whole is your section, or every guest is your guest. We're reminded that even though you might not be taking care of that guest this time, next time when they join us in the restaurant, you may be taking care of them next time. So teamwork is really huge. There's no one, the restaurant would not be able to run if we did not communicate with each other constantly and just really work to help each other. I think teamwork is huge in the restaurant.
Yeah.
There's not a specific job duty that's your job or her job or his job. It's everyone's job is their job, and it's all our duty to help each other.
Yeah, kind of like a symphony, right? That each part, everybody's doing their part to make this beautiful experience over there at Madrid. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Where do you see, because this job's kind of new to you, like, do you have things that you look at like this would be the dream job? Because obviously you're working at one of the finest dining places in Grand Rapids now. So what do you aspire to? Like the fact that you even are where you are now. Tell us a little more about your thinking.
Yeah. So I think that hospitality is a field that I really enjoy, and I don't see myself leaving hospitality, but being in a management role, I do have the opportunity to kind of step outside of hospitality if I were to want to do that one day. So I'm fortunate to be in this position now, learning what I'm learning, because it's will be applicable in other positions. But I think my goal for the next few years would be to become a general manager. So that would become my boss. So my boss is above me, and they are in charge of really the whole restaurant, are able to make all the decisions, and I work alongside of them. But I think after that, I would like to become a food and beverage manager. So the food and beverage director. The food and beverage director at the Amway is in charge of all of the restaurants in the Amway, and that's banquets included. So they oversee a lot more and have their hands kind of in many pots, and are able to affect the guest experience for a much larger realm. So that would, I think, be my goal eventually.
That's wonderful. And I love that you've had so much room to grow already. You bring up a good point, though, and I'd love for you to educate some of the school counselors on the call and students. You mentioned, obviously, the sommelier. You have the assistant manager that you're doing. You have the food and beverage. You have even the banquet side. What are some of those other jobs, just to help young people understand some of the other possibilities within even just your restaurant or your field at the Amway there?
Yeah, so especially when working in a hotel, there's a lot that you can do with a hospitality, your hospitality experience or degree. You can work in the back of the house, which would mean the culinary side of things, as a chef or a sous chef or a cook. And then I work in the front of the house, so that is kind of management or server, hostess, food runner. So there's the food and beverage director in our hotel. There's also the front desk people and the rooms division managers. They are in charge of booking the hotel rooms, and kind of in charge of the guests that come in to stay with us in the hotel. And then there's our vice president, of course, and our the manager of the hotel as a whole, and you can run the whole hotel. But I think there's a lot you can do with a hospitality background. You could work in travel, Universal Studios. But I really enjoy working in the restaurant. So I think food kind of warms people from the inside out, and people remember a good meal.
Absolutely. I definitely associate food with some of those wonderful experiences or celebrations in my life. We have about 5 minutes left. I'm curious about what a high school student could be doing if obviously working in a restaurant, and what would you encourage them, even the type of restaurant they start in, right? Or do you guys do job shadows once they get to a certain level? Tell us some of the things that students can be doing now to kind of prepare themselves for a job like yours.
Yeah, I think definitely seeking out maybe a higher end restaurant to work in would be a good idea. But many of our servers didn't start at a fine dining restaurant. They worked their way up. So any kind of customer service, experience you can get is going to be applicable in really any field that you want to work in eventually, because I didn't know that I would be working in this role. I think in high school, I thought I wanted to be a dentist, and I thought I was going to go to dental school, but this just kind of fell into my lap as I continued to grow and learn more and kind of curate that passion for myself within food and beverage.
Yeah. Would you work with high school students or college students? Do you ever let job shadows come in? I know we've worked with Amway, they've taken kids on tours.
Yeah.
Do you ever just let a student come in and talk to you?
I would be more than open to doing a job shadow. If anyone wants to reach out to me directly, I'm more than happy to do that. I remember I job shadowed my orthodontist and my dentist, and I had a great experience, even though that wasn't the field I went into. It gave me a lot of insight into the workforce. So I think job shadowing is a really good thing to do. I do have some pictures I can share of the space that I work in.
That's great. I failed to get those ready for you. I'm glad that.
Oh no, that's okay. I was able to figure it out. So
okay. Let me just
I can share my screen.
Here.
That's okay.
Yep. Do that right now for you. You should be able to share now.
Oh.
Should be a little green button at the bottom that says share screen. Yeah, if anyone hasn't been, I'm part of a Facebook group of Grand Rapids, so they talk, Madrid shows up every now and then. People are talking about what great restaurants in town, and your restaurant definitely shows up in the conversation often.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it to go.
As you're kind of working that out, is there any final word of wisdom that you might like to give folks? And I can see if I can pull those up at my end too.
Yeah, I think it's really about the connections that you make all along the way. All of the opportunities that I've sought out, I've always known somebody who has connected me to the opportunity. So in high school, I knew a fellow peer that was working at my first position, and they kind of got me in the restaurant. And then again, with the next position, I again knew another friend and was able to fill that role at the second restaurant I worked at. And then while working at Butch's, I really made a good connection with my manager. My manager was able to bring kind of recruited me to the next restaurant that she went to. And then I made a good connection with my manager that I have now, and he brought me into the management role that I have today. So I think it's really important that you don't undervalue the relationships that you make. It's really who you know and how you present yourself. Even with the small tasks.
That's such great advice, Abigail, for sure. And if you have not been to Madrid, this is at the top of the JW, correct? JW Marriott. This
is Madrid. Yep, the top of the Amway Grand Hotel downtown. This photo here is a picture of our balcony. We have a small balcony that seats about 8 guests, and as you can see, it overlooks the Grand River.
It's stunning. Our half hour's up, and I want to respect your time. And I know some of our counselors have to go, but you have been wonderful in giving us such inside scoop into your job and your field. And I know that picture alone is making me want to call and make some reservations. So thank you so much for being here today, Abigail.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.